Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, YouTube. This is kind of my present to YouTube viewers who are interested, because I got a lot from YouTube, so I want to give back a little bit. I'm going to talk about the differences between these two animals right here, and kind of between Silverface versus Blackface models, because I've owned both of each of these amps at the same time, so I got a real good chance to demo them back and forth through the same speaker, same cabinet, you know, plug in back and forth and swapping tubes and stuff. So I got a good chance to really see the differences between them. And first, let's say that it's never a fair comparison comparing two amps like this, because oh yeah, for all the people that get annoyed by, you know, somebody talking on a video like this, well, too bad, just move on. But you can't really compare two amps like this without talking about, you know, disclaimers, because no two Princeton reverbs are going to sound alike. You know, there's different components in them, different components drift. You're going to have different tubes in there, different amounts of wear on your tubes, etc. So it's never fair, but this can give you a good example of what to kind of expect with these two amps. So background, they both have fully updated filter caps and bias caps. I also did the rest of the electrolytics on the board on that Princeton reverb. That's got all the bypass caps and everything on the board are all original on that deluxe reverb, but it's got new filters and a new bias cap. Both have 3-prong cords installed. Other than that, both completely original. That Princeton's got an original C10, I think it's an N. I can't remember looking at the speaker code, but I think it's a C10N. It's got a big magnet, which was original equipment in it. The deluxe reverb has an Oxford, original Oxford from 1967. But other than that, both amps are completely original. Oh, 67, 66 for the Princeton. So Silverface versus Blackface. I owned a 77 Princeton reverb, same time as this one, and got a chance to plug them both into the same cabinet and play. They sound a lot alike. They're very, very, very similar sounding. I think the difference to my ears was Blackface a little bit smoother, but there's still treble response. It's almost equal in treble response, but it seems like the Blackface has a smoother treble response. It's a little less strident, but there's a treble knob on the amp, so you can always turn the treble down on the Silverface and achieve basically the same thing as the Blackface, to my ears. Maybe it was a little... I think the GZ34 rectifier tube supplies a little bit more juice to the plates, so this is supposed to be a little stiffer and more strident, supposedly, but it didn't sound like that to my ears. It sounded like this one has more sag than the other one. But that can go back to, you know, component drift and all those things because of age. Or the cabinet wood. That was the biggest difference I noticed between Silverface and Blackface. The cabinet wood, in my opinion, makes a big difference in how the amp sounds, you know, in general. Loud, quiet, because the speaker can only move and vibrate based on the amount of give in the cab and the baffle. On the Silverface amps, it seemed like when you crank it up and get distorted, it sounded rattier, sharper. But when I plugged it into this one, when I plugged the 77 Princeton running into this cabinet, it sounded a lot more similar to this one. For some reason, the breakup just sounds smoother on the Blackface amps to me, though. Even with the Silverface plugged into the Blackface cab, it was still a little, I don't know, rougher sounding, less smooth. But that's probably better in a mix. If you play live, maybe that'll cut better. But for all the gigs that I play, which are in here or in my living room, this works better for me because it doesn't, you know, punch me in the face when I make something jump out of the amp, you know, smack the guitar strings. So for me, I like this better. But yeah, I think the cabinet wood's the biggest difference, really, because the components, whatever, they're basically the same, and the circuits are basically the same in the Silverface and Blackface amps. There's a few different things, but yeah, to my ears, they're pretty similar. If I was playing out, if I was, you know, a musician, not just a bedroom guitarist, I would probably be playing the Silverface out. You know, I'm a junkie, so I like these because I like the looks of them better. But yeah, the Silverface is a lot of bang for your buck. Yeah, so let's go ahead and play. I'm just gonna turn them both on, jump back and forth between the number one input on the Princeton reverb and then the number one input on the vibrato channel of the deluxe reverb. Just play a couple chords in my Strat so you can kind of hear, you know, how they sound, and a few single notes. yeah, you can go ahead and comment about how my playing sucks and all that. It's cool. Get it all the time. But like I said, this is me trying to get back to YouTube viewers. Let's see, volume. I've got about 4 on the Princeton Reverb, and I got just over 2 on the Deluxe Reverb. See how that sits together versus the 2 of them. This is a 60 reissue custom shop relic Strat Daphne Blue, 60 reissue pickups. Love this thing. Oh, I've got a GE 6v6s in that one, an RCA in V1, brand new. Just took it out of the box. It was new in box NOS, new old stock, and I just put it in V1. The rest of them are like, there's a Telefunken in there and some there's an IEC labeled Muller and stuff. AT7 I think is an RCA. They basically have the same complement. I think I have an IEC Muller in V1 of that vibrato channel of Deluxe Reverb, and I have RCAs, gray plates in that one. And there's a Telefunken in the reverb return, just like this one. They're basically the same tubes, except for the power tubes. I like the G's in that one. They seem a little, I don't know, livelier. Because I haven't messed with biasing that one really. I haven't touched the bias resistor and stuff. Thinking about putting a adjustable bias pot in there instead of that resistor, see what happens. Alright, so... Oh, I'm sitting between the bridge and the middle pickups. I got the bridge and middle pickup selection on my Strat. Alright, let's turn the box on. Tubes warm up a little bit. Sorry, I don't have an ABY box, so I can't keep them both on, switch back and forth, and all that stuff, but work with what I got for you guys. And I apologize, I'm not going to be able to crank them today, because I got baby upstairs sleeping, and wife's out there. Oh yeah, I get to play a lot more now that I got rid of my high gain amps too, because my wife can deal with Blackface Fender tone more than she can deal with a screaming Diesel or a Matchless or a Marshall or something. Plus it makes you a lot better player, playing on a clean amp all the time. You gotta really watch what you're doing with your hands. Oh yeah, for the camp that says that deluxes are too bright and that stuff, I don't buy it. You turn the treble knob down, learn to control your pick angle hitting the strings, learn to control your muting hand and stuff. I don't buy it. I mean, if I really slammed into a bend on the high E string or something like that, it would scream. But if you control your pick angle and all that stuff, it's not too bright in my opinion. I think it sounds fantastic. Yeah, I think the Princeton was a little bit louder, so I'm going to turn it up and try this. Yeah, it sounds close. Like I said, I wish I had cranked them up for you today, but oh, let's do the vibrato, huh? Yeah, let's flip the vibrato on. See, show the difference between that. So you got the intensity. I'll put it on about 7 or 8 on this guy. I got the speed on 0. Okay, Princeton. Turn on about the same, 7, 6, 7, 7 on intensity. Speed all the way down. If I had to pick just one, I know I read that question in the forums too. If I had to pick just one, glad I don't, because I don't know how I'd decide. I'd probably pick the Deluxe though, just because you can go quiet with the Deluxe Reverb, and it sounds damn good. Princeton probably you get a little closer to cranked with it when you're at low volume, but when you turn that Deluxe Reverb up, you know you turned up a big tube amp. Versus I mean that Princeton gets plenty loud with the Jensen C10N in it, and it sounds awesome cranked. It doesn't ever buzz or rattle. It sounds killer cranked. But the Deluxe, it has more gain when you crank it, and it's just huge sounding compared to the Princeton. The bigger power transformer and stuff, and output transformer, and 8 more tube watts, bigger cab, bigger speaker. Even with the Oxford in there, it just sounds freaking killer. So I'd probably pick the Deluxe. Oh, another difference between Silverface and Blackface I noticed, big difference is weight. The Blackface amps weigh tons less. Like that 77 Princeton Reverb I had, Silverface, was quite a bit heavier than that Blackface Deluxe sitting right there. Quite a bit heavier. Which I'm sure contributes to the cat and the Princeton had the 77 had the stock Oxford in it, as does this, so a lot of it's got to do with cabinet wood, I think. Maybe a heavier chassis, hard to say. I think the Silverface amps had beefier power trannies too. I read. And I noticed on my Silverface Champ's got a huge transformer compared to my Vibro, my Blackface Vibro. But anyway, here's the vibrato on the Princeton. So I hope that helps some YouTuber out there decide whether or not they want either one. Yeah, personally I'd say I'd probably pick the Deluxe over. Thank God I don't have to sell one though, because I love them both. They both have a little bit different kind of magic going on. But, you know, it's all different because of tubes and components and all that stuff. tough to make a determination that one's better than the other. They both have different pluses and minuses. You can crank this one earlier and get cool tube distortion out of it before upsetting your neighbors, where that one's going to piss your neighbors off, the Deluxe Reverb's gonna. If you got close neighbors or something, you're in an apartment, yeah, I'd probably steer away from that unless you're playing it out or you got a good space where you can crank it up. This one you can get louder. It's loud. They're gonna hear you, but they're not gonna feel it like that one. The Deluxe Reverb is just way bigger sounding. So yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, YouTube. I hope I helped somebody out. Take care.